Dear friends, tonight let's talk about life. Let's talk about how we live, but still, let's talk about how you live and how do people live along the border with Gaza. Let's talk about the right to life. Let's ask ourselves one simple question. Do people of Israel have the same right to live their lives the way you do? Because at the end, this is what it is all about. It is about the right to live in peace and security for all people, and also for the people of Israel. You know, in Merchant of Venice, Shakespeare put some very strong words in the mouth of Shylock. He says, "If you hurt us, don't we cry?" Of course, Shakespeare had another idea, but I think that those very strong words that were used in the Merchant of Venice are relevant today. I think it would be good if we reviewed some of the things that have led us to where we are today. In 2005, despite some public uproar, the government of Israel evacuated Gaza. The logic was very simple. Gaza will never be a part of Israel, hence there's no reason to be there. The underlying thought was that once we are out of there, the Palestinians can seize the opportunity, show the world, and between us, show us that they were capable of developing a viable state, even though it were only in Gaza. It would have been a great example. Mind you, they had the same land, the same water that our settlers had had. So there really was no reason why Palestinian farmers could not produce and cultivate the same land that Israeli farmers did for so many years before. Unfortunately, 2 years after we evacuated that strip, Hamas took over. They took over not democratically. They took over by force. They violated human rights of Palestinian policemen, and they developed in Gaza a terrorist fortress. Now, since 2007 and until now, over 21,000 rockets were launched against Israel. It all started with small primitive rockets back 7 years ago. Then it went and developed into mortar shells and more rockets, and rockets that were brought into Gaza from Iran and from other countries. And time and again, the people who lived in sovereign Israeli territory, in part and parcel of Israel since 1948, have been subjected to continuous terrorist activities from Hamas. Now, what is Hamas? Hamas is a bunch of terrorist thugs and gangsters whose covenant calls for the destruction of Israel. Now, I know there are people around the world who say, well, nobody means it really. They're trying to get a better deal. They're trying to negotiate a better deal for themselves. The difference between those people and ourselves, we believe them because we live there. And our people have been living under their attacks constantly. And we can quote the preamble, we can quote Article 4 and Article 11 and Article 13. The point is, Hamas is a terrorist organization. Same thing as Al-Qaeda and ISIS. They all come from the same well of venom. The conflict in Gaza is not the first one, and we certainly hope it's the last one. Several times we had to go to war to disarm Hamas, to send it a message that violence will only breed violence. Conflict will beget conflict. The Israeli government, like any government on the face of this earth, has one responsibility, and that is to safeguard the lives of the people and the population of Israel. And when Israel is faced with ongoing aggression, it will respond. And this is what we did this time. People talk to us about civilian casualties. In fact, there are voices in this country that call for the expulsion of the Israeli ambassador because of the attack against civilian population. I want to make this very clear, write this on the record. Israel is not in the business of killing innocent people. Whoever tells you otherwise doesn't know what he's talking about. Hamas is a terrorist organization, on purpose, from day one, installed its armament, its rockets, its shells in bunkers, in arsenals that were built among civilians. They violated mosques, they raped schools, they took advantage of homes, and from there they launched their rockets against Israel. However, we tried. Whatever measures we have taken, and no army on the face of the earth, and I'm talking about civilized nations, no army has taken the same precautions as the Israeli army has done in the course of the last 4 weeks. Time and again, missions were aborted because civilians were in harm's way. And no civilian belongs in harm's way. The hands of Hamas are bloodied with the blood of the civilians of Gaza. Time and again, we warned people to leave their homes because we were going to bomb armament arsenals. Hamas would not let them. Don't come preach to us with holier than thou approach. You're killing civilians. We are defending ourselves, and we will continue to defend ourselves until the people of Israel live in peace and security, just like the people of New Zealand, just like the people of every country in the world. This is what it's all about. It's about life. It's about the right to life. Thank you very much.